Okay, so Keegan, this is going to be a video that just shows you how to make NASA triangles with an additional feature, which should help you out. That additional feature being the use of what's called parameters. They're effectively just variables. We're going to make four, and what it allows you to do is that instead of entering the sketch and changing a bunch of different variables, you just need to go to this one right here, and it's the triangle size variable, and we're just going to change it. And then it makes the triangle smaller, but keeps all the ratios the same and everything, just to make sure everything works out in terms of reducing weight, but also keeping strength. So the way we're going to do that, we're just going to go to a new file. We're going to make a sketch. And the first thing that we're going to do is make those parameters I was talking about. So if you go to the Modify menu and change parameters, it's going to pull up this parameters window. Now, as you can see here, you've got two different options. You've got user or model parameters. We're going with the user parameters. So you're going to click on that and the plus sign. That's where we're going to actually make your new parameter for the first time. So over this one, we're just going to call it ratio. And make sure that this one is no units. Very important. For this, we're just going to make it 3/5. And so what this is this is going to be the ratio between size of the triangles and the distance between them. Okay, maybe there's not some right grammar there, but whatever. We're gonna make a couple more. So we're just gonna do triangle size. Now, notice that I am writing in camel case, that I capitalized the first letter of each word and that there's no spaces. The engine actually won't accept spaces, so don't do that. This unit can be inches, whatever. Let's just gonna make it 1. And for the comment, we're just gonna put size of the triangles. Okay. Um, we're gonna make 2 more. This next one is gonna be triangle distance. This is going to be triangle size times the ratio. Okay, and this is going to be distance between triangles. And the last one is going to be splitting size. And this is going to be triangle size divided by 8. Important. Divided by 8 is important. And this is going to be amount to fillet the corners of each triangle. Okay, now that we've gotten those set up, you can exit out of that. And we're going to go ahead and start making stuff. The first thing is actually we're going to make a point right on the origin. And then we're going to make an inscribed polygon. It doesn't actually matter if it's inscribed or circumscribed, but for right now, we're just going to use inscribed. This distance that pulls up doesn't matter. Go ahead and just tab over to the number of sides and make that an actual triangle. Now, we've got to make sure that the top side of this triangle right here is going to actually be horizontal. So we're going to go to our horizontal vertical constraint and just select it. Make sure that's horizontal. Then the next thing we're doing is we're going to go to our fillet tool and we're going to fillet each corner of this triangle. And for the distance, we're going to use filleting size that we've set up earlier. Now, in addition to the horizontal constraint that we put before, we need to make sure that the center line of this triangle is lined up with the origin. That's very important. So we're going to go ahead and select the middle dot of this bottom fillet and select the point that we put on the origin. And that'll make sure that's the case. Now, the other thing that we need to do is that we need to make sure that this stays an equilateral triangle, because even though we've made it that way, initially it can move around, as you can see, like weird things. So I'm going to use the equal constraint and just select each of these sides, making sure that they're equal to each other. So now if we move it around, um, it makes the triangle bigger or smaller. That's fine for now. So the other thing that we need to do is this is where we're going to actually do our triangle size. Is we're going to select one of these sides and set that distance to triangle size. Okay, boom, boom, easy peasy. Now we should be able to drag it up and down. That's good. Last thing that we're going to do is we're going to set the distance of the triangle. So what we're going to do is we're going to again select that middle dot at the bottom fillet, and we're going to select the origin point that we've made. We're going to make this distance right here triangle distance. And now to make the rest of the triangles, we're going to go into our create menu, circular pattern. Make sure to select each and every line. There should be 6. You don't need to select the points or anything like that. And then for the center point, we're going to use our origin, making sure that the quantity of the pattern that we want to make is 6. And boom, there you have it. You're done. And that's literally the entire thing. So now if you go into your parameters, you go into modify and then put down to change parameters. You can go into your parameters menu and go into the triangle size and you make them bigger. See that they got bigger. So the ratio and the other things, I'm going to talk about that for a second to explain what these parameters actually do. So we have the ratio set. As you can see, the ratio is just going to be the distance, the proportion between the size of this triangle and the distance between them. So if I make that smaller, you can see that the triangles are going to get close together, very close together. So I can make it very small. We'll just make it 1 out of 10. And they're actually going to start overlapping, which is just a part of the thing, but that shouldn't be a problem if you just stay in normal ranges. I made it 3 out of 5. I was just guessing. This ratio probably is going to be much more scientifically related because it's going to tell you how much of the material that you can keep versus how much you can get rid of. NASA might have some ratio or something that you can look up, but I'll leave that to you. Now the filleting size, this divided by 8, this constant that we've made here, if you make that number smaller, you can see that triangles themselves are going to get fatter because the fillets are going to get bigger as well. I've found that 8 looks pretty good. It looks fine. So yeah, also just good practice with parameters. Make sure to make comments that make sense. I can see, and I didn't write exactly what I meant for this first ratio thing, but that's okay because I'm just doing this for a video. Make sure it makes sense, one, so that if you end up using a lot of parameters in your work this year, which hopefully you do because they make things a lot easier if you set them up correctly, that one, you can come back and look at them and see them and be like, oh, that's what I was looking for. This thing I need to change. In addition to that, it's because we work on a team. Hopefully, should be able to come in here and just be able to adjust things and look at, oh, this parameter does this parameter does that. I can make quick adjustments and save it. The final thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about how to create a whole mat of these things. So the way that you want to do that is if you want to create if you want to put them over a big sheet. So you're going to do a rectangular pattern instead of a circular pattern. You're going to go ahead and come in and select all of these lines. There should be quite a few. Let me do that again, because unfortunately it will grab all the points as well, which is just the way that it works. That's okay. But we don't really want the points. Because it's just going to make the pattern look more messy. And you don't need them. So why have them? Just make sure to select all of the lines. And you're only going to do it for these 4 triangles. And you'll see why in a second. So now I'm going to be able to drag this out. You can see I missed a line right here. Oh, and one right there. Just got to be careful. You can drag these out. And if you want to make more of them, let's say you want to make 7. Why not? Who knows? You can just keep dragging those out. And you can do some legitimate math to figure out the actual distances. As you can see, those look pretty much the same. I think this one might be a little bit smaller. I don't know. You can do the math. You can figure it out. And as well as dragging them down, you can also come back here and drag it down in addition to dragging it to the side. You can make these real big. So hopefully the way that you set this up is now that you can still change the parameters. I don't know how exactly if this is going to work out very well, but we'll find out. Yeah, so it screwed up the pattern, but that's okay. The way that you would want to do that is when you set those distances, the amount that you want to change out, they would be a proportion to each other as well. You'd also set up another parameter for that. But for our case, you can figure that out later if you want to, or I can make another video about it.